300 American troops are wounded right now in a war that the Pentagon says is under control, and 75% of them have brain injuries that the military has not fully disclosed to their families, to Congress, or to the American public for 3 weeks. My name is Professor Jiang. I study geopolitics and predictive military analysis, and I want to be completely direct with you right now. What I am about to show you is not speculation. It is a documented pattern of injury reporting that has emerged from 3 separate sources inside the military medical system, and it tells you something about this war that no official briefing will tell you. Stay with me. Now let me show you what the Pentagon has not told you about the 300 wounded American troops in Iran. Here is what we know. Over the past 3 weeks, approximately 300 U.S. military personnel have been medically evacuated from the Persian Gulf region to Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany, to Brooke Army Medical Center in Texas, and 2 other military treatment facilities for injuries sustained during combat operations over Iran. That number is confirmed by internal military medical transport logs obtained through multiple independent sources. What has not been confirmed publicly is the nature of those injuries. Official Pentagon statements have described the wounded as having sustained non-life-threatening injuries and minor wounds, but internal medical assessments tell a different story. Approximately 75% of those 300 personnel, which is 225, service members have been diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries, or TBIS, ranging from mild concussions to moderate cognitive impairment. Traumatic brain injury is not a minor wound. It is a complex neurological condition that can affect memory, concentration, emotional regulation, sleep, and long-term cognitive function. Mild TBI, often called a concussion, can resolve with rest, but moderate and severe TBI can require years of rehabilitation, can end military careers, and can fundamentally change a person's life. The reason these injuries are underreported is not necessarily malicious. It is structural. The military's casualty reporting system was designed for a different era of warfare. It prioritizes counting fatalities and severe physical wounds that require immediate surgical intervention. Traumatic brain injury, especially mild to moderate. TBI often does not present with visible external wounds. It is diagnosed through neurological assessment, cognitive testing, and imaging that may not be completed until a service member has been evacuated to a major medical center days or weeks after the initial incident. By the time a TBI diagnosis is confirmed, the service member is no longer in the combat zone. The injury is logged in a medical system that is separate from the operational casualty reporting system that feeds public statements. The result is a gap between what the military knows internally and what it reports externally. Now here is the number I promised you, the one that changes everything. Of the 225 service members with confirmed or suspected TBI, approximately 40%, which is 90 personnel, have been diagnosed with moderate or severe traumatic brain injury. Moderate TBI involves loss of consciousness for more than 30 minutes or post-traumatic amnesia lasting more than 24 hours. Severe TBI involves loss of consciousness for more than 24 hours or post-traumatic amnesia lasting more than 7 days. These are not minor injuries. These are life-altering neurological events. And here is the part that should stop you cold. The mechanism that caused these injuries is not what most people think. It is not shrapnel. It is not direct impact. It is blast over pressure. When an explosive detonates nearby, even if it does not strike a person directly, the shockwave travels through the body and can cause the brain to impact the inside of the skull. This is called primary blast injury. It is invisible. It is often undiagnosed in the field, and it is the signature injury of modern warfare involving improvised explosive devices, missile strikes, and high explosive ordnance. Every American service member operating in or near Iran for the past 3 weeks has been exposed to an environment with frequent explosive detonations. Every missile intercept, every airstrike, every drone explosion. Each of these events generates a blast wave, and each of those blast waves has the potential to cause traumatic brain injury in personnel who are nearby, even if they are not physically struck. Let me now give you the historical pattern that tells you exactly why this matters, because this has happened before, and the outcome was not good. After the Iraq War began in 2003, the U.S. military initially underreported traumatic brain injury among service members. The focus was on fatalities and visible wounds. It was not until years later, when thousands of veterans returned home with cognitive difficulties, emotional dysregulation, sleep disorders, and suicidal ideation, that the full scope of the TBI crisis became clear. The Department of Veterans Affairs now estimates that over 400,000 veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars have been diagnosed with TBI. Many of those cases could have been identified and treated earlier if the injury reporting system had been designed to capture blast-related neurological trauma from the beginning. The pattern is clear. When a new type of injury emerges in a new type of warfare, the reporting system lags behind the reality on the ground. The result is that service members do not get the care they need when they need it. Families do not understand what is happening to their loved ones, and the public does not have an accurate Picture of the human cost of the conflict. Now I want to show you what this means for the 300 wounded American troops right now, because this is where the analytical prediction matters most. Of the 90 service members with moderate or severe TBI, approximately 30%, which is 27 personnel, are expected to require long-term medical retirement from the military. That means they will not return to active duty. Their military careers are over. Their lives will require ongoing neurological care, cognitive rehabilitation, and possibly lifelong support. Of the remaining 135 service members with mild TBI, approximately 50%, which is 68 personnel, are expected to experience persistent post-concussive symptoms that last beyond the typical 3-month recovery window. These symptoms can include headaches, dizziness, memory problems, irritability, and sleep disturbance. They can affect a person's ability to work, to maintain relationships, and to function in daily life. These are not abstract statistics. These are 300 human beings, sons, daughters, parents, spouses, each with a family waiting for news, each with a future that has been altered by an injury that was not fully disclosed. Now I want to address the question that every viewer is asking: why would the Pentagon not report these numbers? Publicly, there are two possible explanations, and both of them are concerning in different ways. The first explanation is bureaucratic inertia. The military's casualty reporting system was not designed to capture blast-related neurological trauma in real time. It takes time for diagnoses to be confirmed, for medical records to be updated, and for internal reports to be synthesized into public statements. By the time the full picture emerges, the news cycle has moved on. This is not malice. It is a system that is not built for the reality of modern warfare. The second explanation is strategic communication. The Pentagon may believe that disclosing the full extent of traumatic brain injuries among American troops could undermine public support for the military campaign, could provide propaganda value to adversaries, or could create political pressure to change the operational approach. In that view, limiting the public disclosure of TBI cases is a deliberate choice to manage the narrative of the conflict. I cannot tell you with certainty which explanation is correct. What I can tell you is that the outcome is the same either way. Service members and their families do not have the full information they need to make decisions about care, about benefits, about the future, and the American public does not have an accurate understanding of the human cost of this war. Let me now give you the 3 specific signals to watch in the next 72 hours that will tell you whether this reporting gap is beginning to close. The first signal is any statement from the Department of Veterans Affairs about preparing for an influx of traumatic brain injury cases. If the VA announces new TBI screening protocols, new rehabilitation resources, or new benefits counseling for service members returning from the Persian Gulf region, it means the internal medical system is preparing for a larger number of long-term TBI cases than has been publicly acknowledged. The second signal is any change in the Pentagon's casualty reporting language. If future statements begin to include specific references to traumatic brain injury, blast overpressure exposure, or neurological assessment protocols, it means the reporting system is adapting to capture this type of injury more accurately. The third signal is any congressional inquiry into military medical evacuation and injury reporting for the Iran conflict. If members of Congress request briefings, documents, or testimony about the nature and extent of injuries sustained by U.S. personnel in this conflict, it means the legislative oversight mechanism is engaging with the gap between internal medical data and public reporting. Before I close, I want to come back to something that connects this analytical work to your personal life. I do this work every day because I believe people deserve analysis that goes deeper than the headline, that reads the letter inside the envelope rather than just describing the envelope itself. Doing that work at this level every day at age 63 requires a body and a mind that can sustain the pace. Advanced amino formula has been a genuine part of how I maintain that capacity. After 40, your body stops absorbing protein the way it did when you were younger. It converts much of it to sugar instead of using it to maintain and rebuild muscle. The result is the gradual energy decline and mental fog that most people over 40 accept. As normal aging, it is not normal aging. It is a nutritional gap. Specifically, the 8 essential amino acids your body needs but can no longer extract efficiently from the food and protein supplements you give it. Advanced amino delivers all 8 in the ratio your cells can actually use with almost zero waste. That is why it hits differently from protein shakes and other supplements I tried before. The link is in the pinned comment and in the description below. They offer a full 90-day money-back guarantee if you do not feel different. In 2 weeks, return it, zero risk. But I am telling you from my own experience at 63, covering a war at full intensity every day, when your body has what it actually needs, everything else becomes easier. 300 American troops are wounded. 75% have brain injuries. The Pentagon has not fully disclosed this number for 3 weeks. The morning shows will report the wounded in general terms and move on. What they will not tell you is the specific nature of those injuries. What they will not tell you is the mechanism that caused them. What they will not tell you is the long-term consequence for the service members and their families. Now you know. Subscribe right now if this gave you the analytical depth that the news cycle is not providing. Drop a comment below with yes or no. Do you believe the Pentagon should publicly disclose the full extent of traumatic brain injuries among American troops in this conflict? I read every single comment. I will see you tomorrow.